Right, so question 5B. Okay, so question 5B is people tend to buy laptops rather than desktop computers. Despite this, desktop computers are still fairly popular. Describe three advantages of using a desktop rather than a laptop. Now, desktops still pretty much exist almost everywhere. Okay, every workplace you go to, you will have a desktop in front of you rather than a laptop, and there's various reasons for this. So what I'm going to do is discuss the three advantages of desktop computers rather than laptops, and then I'm going to show you the mark scheme. Okay, the mark scheme is rather limited on this, which is a little bit annoying. Okay, however, you know, if your answer is correct, try and stick to fact rather than opinion, you should still get a mark. Okay, so obviously I experienced both laptops and desktops. Now, desktop computers are incredibly powerful, but in modern day, so are laptops. Laptops can perform exactly the same as desktops. But if you was to buy a laptop and look at the price of a desktop, you'll find a desktop far cheaper than a laptop. So really, okay, you are actually getting exactly the same performance, okay, from a laptop as you're getting for a desktop, but you're paying a lot more money for this. Okay, so if we look here, laptop versus desktop, you can see these days as well, desktops take up far less room than they used to. Desktops used to be incredibly bulky with incredibly bulky monitors. So, you know, laptops looked far more appealing. So if you look at this image here, you can see this laptop's, this desktop's incredibly small, a very thin monitor, a small tower and a small keyboard. But however, this laptop here is quite bulky, I think, for these days. You know, my one that I'm using right now, which is about 4 years old, is much thinner than this one. So now, as you can see here, with the desktop, all the elements are separate. Okay, with a laptop, they're all together. So if something like your keyboard breaks, it's incredibly difficult. Oh, damn it, screen. It is incredibly difficult to actually replace the keyboard, and they're expensive. With a desktop, okay, your keyboard breaks, well, they're very cheap to replace. And not only that, you've got the option as well of customized keyboards, wireless keyboards. Okay, so you've got far more options. Now, if you're thinking in terms of schools and if you're thinking in terms of offices and companies, okay, a desktop would be cheaper to buy. And also, in my opinion, and this is an opinion, may not use this in your exam, but it is an opinion, okay, desktops are far more robust. They last longer. You do really get your money's worth out of them. They're far more economical. So my laptop right now that is being replaced in 2 weeks is 4 years old. The screen keeps freezing. My hard drive died. Okay, and it was I was just very lucky someone could actually repair it. So however, with a desktop, if anything goes wrong, okay, it's easier to upgrade. So what you may find is somewhere down the line when the desktop gets slower and is getting older, you may just have to simply upgrade the hard drives, upgrade the RAM, and that would be far cheaper than actually replacing the whole thing. Where with a laptop, you'd have to replace literally the whole thing. Also, screens. Now, the screens on laptops do have a glare on them. You can actually turn that down. Okay, you can tilt them as well. You can also do that with desktops. But some people would say that a desktop, you've got far more control, you've got a better quality screen. So like the screen on my laptop is a lovely shiny screen, but it has a glare. And after looking at it every day, all day, it gets incredibly stressful. Whereas the desktop computer in my classroom, the monitor is actually, the material it is made from has far less of a glare. So that's the advantages and disadvantages of laptops. And also the more obvious choice is this: it's harder to steal a desktop computer. Okay, laptops can be carried everywhere. They can be stolen. They're at risk of being stolen. I'm going to show the mark scheme to this now. Okay, so it says any free from. As the elements are separate units, there's more choice of devices, and it can be replaced if fails. That is very, very true. With a desktop, okay, you can have an SD card slot. You can have a CD drive. You can have some sort of disk drive. You can plug in a scanner and so on. You can have as many different peripherals as you want to plug in. Graphics tablet, everything. With a laptop, it's limited. Okay, so if you look at some, for example, some thin laptops, I don't know, maybe you own one yourself. Okay, because they're incredibly thin, you can't have CD drives or any sort of disk drive really. So all you can have is what makes the laptop thin. So you may be limited on USB ports. You may be limited on how many peripherals you can actually plug into the computer. Also, it says it can be easier to upgrade. Well, desktops are easier to upgrade. They've got the slots. Everything with laptops is limited because they're small. Easier to reduce on screen as it's glare on screen as it's separate. A laptop is more expensive for the same performance, and that is exactly true. And for a desktop, there's lower chance of it being lost or stolen. Okay? Because obviously it's all plugged in, there's lots of wires, they're bulky. Laptops, some of them are so thin, you can just close them up, put them under your coat, and that's it. Okay?